Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Chris Magra. I'm the director of the Center for the Study of Tennesseans in War, and it's our mission to research, preserve, and share the stories of Tennesseans who have been involved in war. And we're privileged today to have Jase Hoffman with us. Jase, welcome to the center.
Thank you, sir.
Good to have
Thank
you. Start by letting folks know your bona fides here. How long have you lived in Tennessee?
I've lived in Tennessee now for about since 2019, February, so I'm about 7 years now.
Okay, 7 years in Tennessee. And where were you born?
I was born unusual situation. As we're going to find out, I have a lot of non-standard things in my life, including military path that I ended up on. But I was born in Châteauroux, France, and as a military dependent of a U.S. soldier, Air Force, where my dad served 20 years in the military as aviation maintenance.
Mm-hmm. And so you moved around a lot as a kid. Where were you during high school years?
Okay, high school, another anomaly. I went to 4 high schools because of being a military brat. That's the nickname that we've gotten, due to just numerous moves. My dad was getting upper leadership in the NCO ranks at that time, so he was being tapped to move around a lot. Arizona, New Jersey, Texas. So I ended up graduating in Texas in Fort Worth. So that's kind of my formative years.
And was it, when did you start to think about the military as a possible career?
That's a good question. It kind of is a hard to answer because it was kind of the seeds were planted with my father, of course, being around aircraft during his maintenance years. He would actually take me to the flight line and during engine run-ups, and I could feel, even at a young age, 10 years old, I'm pushing up throttles because my dad's checking out the engines and letting me do that. Probably not legal, but we did it, and it's kind of got me interested in aircraft. And of course, that followed on. It kind of that first seeds went away over time, and then it came back in high school and first year to college, when you start looking what you want to do with your life.
Yes, and you started to look around at colleges and universities, and you were thinking about ROTC programs?
Not at first.
Okay.
Again, I was in college at Texas Christian University, where I graduated in 1989.
Go Horned Frogs.
Yeah, thank you. Horned Frogs. And great ROTC program. I mean, just remarkable, the things I've learned. But how did I, word of mouth, just talking to, I knew I wanted to be a pilot, so I talked to other pilots. I was lucky enough to live next to or near Carswell Air Force Base there in Fort Worth. So, and as a part-time job, I was working at Blockbuster, which is, dating myself here, VCR, rental, movies that you would rent. And as fate would have it, a B-52 pilot at a Carswell ended up hurting his back. So he was not flying because they have ejection seats. So they had grounded him. Well, with his grounding time, he had nothing to do. He wanted to watch movies. So he came in regularly. And that gave me opportunity, as fate has it, to pick his brain on how do I become what you are? How do I become an Air Force pilot? And he kind of he loved that and kind of mentored me for the time that he was grounded for about 6 months. And he says, okay, here's what you need to do. What's your degree? Mathematics. He goes, that's excellent, because Air Force selection process for pilots, they love technical degrees, engineering, mathematics, physics, meteorology, anything technical. They love computers. So,
do you remember his name, Jase?
I do not. Yeah. I would love to look
Shout out to that B-52 captain. And
it was a fly, I wish I could remember his name. But
if you're watching this and you were in Texas in the
late 80s. Yeah. And you were a Carswell B-52 pilot, please call me. Yeah. But man, thanks. That's a big shout out to him, of course.
And so that kind of pushed you towards the TCU.
I'm in the program now.
ROTC program.
That was one of the
Air Force ROTC.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Air Force ROTC, just like here at University of Tennessee. Same kind of. We have detachment, so I was in a detachment there. And bottom line, one of the things that he said is to go for his guidance was he guided me to go talk to the lead NCO who does the admissions for ROTC. Sit down with him, Sergeant Gibson. I remember him. And I sat down with Sergeant Gibson there, Master Sergeant, and another, walked me through it, helped me fill out the paperwork. Grades matter for those listening. You needed a minimum of 3.0 in your technical degree, so that's important. And but after, I don't know, about 3 months of waiting, being on nerves, if I'm going to get selected or not as a pilot candidate, that's what we're talking about. Finally, the approval came in, and ROTC gives you some allocation wings you get to wear that say, hey, I'm a candidate for pilot school, which is a big deal. A lot of respect comes with that from all different places, and I tell you, everything just fell into place at that point in time.
So 4 years at TCU?
Yes, sir. Yep, 4-year degree. Yes, sir.
And when did you graduate?
I graduated in 1989. And from that point, now when I graduated, you get commissioned as a second lieutenant. Now you're an officer. Just about the same time. It's concurrent with your graduation because that's a requirement that you have that degree. And at that point in time, the Air Force had an overage of pilots. So they had no place to send me to training at that point in time, which is unusual. It's not normally the case. So with the overage, I had to wait 18 months. So it wasn't until 1990.
What did you do for that 18 months?
Yeah, so that 18 months, I was a substitute teacher for high school mathematics classes when math teachers would get sick or...
and that was in Texas?
And I was in Fort Worth Independent School District. Yes, sir. And at that point, I was teaching a class as a substitute for what turned out to be a day, turned out to be 2-3 days. Come to find out, she's not coming back, the math teacher, because she had complications with her pregnancy. So I ended up taking over her whole class for the rest of the year.
Were you thinking that the military thing wasn't even going to happen? Or were you still holding out hopes that it might happen?
I'm guaranteed. I'm guaranteed that's going to happen. They already invested a lot of time and money in some flight screening that they sent me through down in San Antonio to see if you have the capability to fly. They get you up to solo in a Cessna 172. So they had invested in that. So I knew I was going, but I just didn't know when. So finally, my first orders came in, and for February of 1990, and trucked to Phoenix, Arizona, Chandler, where it's now closed. This Air Force Base. It's was called Williams Air Force Base, Chandler, Arizona, and so many folks. I'm part of a group that's on a Facebook group that's Williams T-38 group. A great bunch got a lot of history there. That and seeing some old instructors and folks that I used to fly with. So that's the story of how I got to pilot training through being a math teacher.
Mm-hmm. And so, what happens in your pilot training in Arizona?
Okay, so arrive February. First thing they do is indoctrinate you with academics. Mm-hmm. They have got to. It's broken up into 2 aircraft, 6 months apart. It's a 1-year program. It's called undergraduate pilot training, and the first 6 months you learn to fly the T-37 B, which is a it's a jet, but it's not very high performance jet, but it's maneuverable, and that's what they're keying on. They want to teach us the airmanship that comes along with controlling a jet, and the instructors were just phenomenal. So the second 6 months is T-38, which is they call it the White Rocket. It's everything. It's everything like an F-5, because that's what it is, a Northrop Grumman F5, but it's in training format. So afterburners, supersonic, highly maneuverable. So that's the second 6 months. And then after all that, if you make it through, then you get, you get awarded your pilot wings, Air Force pilot wings, which is a big deal. Mm-hmm. Not everybody makes it through the program. The old adage that we were told, during the academic phase, that first 30 days was, we're sitting in the theater, like theater seats, and the general said, look to the left of you, look to the right of you. Both those dudes are probably not going to be here. Mm-hmm. If you're still standing. So basically what he's saying is 1 out of 3 make it. Mm-hmm. And that hit me. I'm like, I'm going to have to work my butt off. Mm-hmm. And exactly, it's the hardest challenge I ever had in my life is getting through that program. Mm-hmm. Not beyond a shadow of a doubt. Above schooling, any other schools that the Air Force sent me to, or college, or PhD work, anything. That was definitely the most challenging.
Was it one thing in particular that was challenging for you? Or was it just that it was like drinking through a fire hose? There was so much coming at you at once.
We even used to kid about that. Drinking through a fire hose. It's like, and just hope that you're, left standing at the end of that year. Of course, everybody has problems in certain areas, either academics or flying a 37, the landing picture, airmanship, judgment, air sickness, afraid to fly. Some of these guys, didn't realize they were afraid of going up and doing all those maneuvers. It's called manifestation of apprehension for those physiological folks out there that might be studying this. That's a whole nother world that's important to flying as well. Altitude chamber is part of that. We had some people, freak out in the chamber, where they take you to a high pressure altitude, take away your oxygen slowly, and you start to get hypoxic. Yeah. And so that was part of the first 30 days as well. So they're just putting you through the whole ringer, and then finally you get up to solo, and then that's a big. So there's peaks and valleys throughout this whole program. So a peak is when you get to solo, you feel good about yourself, like, man, I'm flying a jet, and the instructor is not sitting next to me. This is side by side in a 37. In a 38, T-38, it's front and aft. Mm-hmm. So, it's always good when you don't have the instructor there. It's not as because it's stressful. The whole thing, you get some instructors that yell more than others, and others don't say a word. That could be also as stressful because you don't know what they're thinking. Yeah. Am I screwed up? Is he mad at me?
But you made it. You made it through that first year.
Yes, sir.
And then what?
Okay, after the first year, and then towards the end of the pilot training there in Phoenix, depending on how you perform throughout that whole year, they place you. Mm-hmm. Usually on a 1 to 30 is how many that's left in your class. And you get ranked. I was ranked in the half in the middle of the class. I was ranked number 1 formation pilot for T-38s. But I had problems with contact phase, which is your maneuvers, and one in particular to the cloverleaf. That was a challenge for me. So I had to go to some extra rides on that. We got through it, but that set me back as far as, getting a primary fighter out of pilot training. So I ended up getting awarded a KC-135 tankers to Carswell Air Force Base, mm-hmm. which is where I, hail from. So I'm coming back home. Mm-hmm. And between showing up to Carswell, flying the 135, there was some further on training to learn how to fly the tanker. It's a 707 Boeing. You have to go to Castle Air Force Base back then. I think now it's Tinker in Oklahoma. But back then, you go through another 6 months of follow-on training to learn your specific aircraft. They also throw in search and rescue, where an escape and evasion, because you're going to combat aircraft in case you're ever shot down or crash land in enemy territory. Very good training. That's another 3 to 4 week program up at Fairchild, up at state of Washington. They just pretty much put you in the woods, mm-hmm. and with very limited food, and you have to make it happen and find how to get back to either your base or a rally point where they pick you up with choppers as a rescue. And then there's another part of that. Towards the end, and this part's classified. I can only tell you, it's prisoner of war training and the things that they do to you there help prepare you in case you're ever a prisoner. And that was a very intensive week of my life as well, from interrogations to the techniques that which we can't get into, that the enemy uses to obviously get information from our U.S. Air Force pilots. So made it through that. Show up at Carswell.
Flying a tanker. Out of Texas. Now, is your family in Texas?
At that point, they're still in Texas. Yes, sir.
And is I remember there was a moment in which your dad was kind of proud. You're kind of doing what he always wanted to do. Was it this moment of you being in Texas and flying a tanker that he was super proud of you?
I think the whole concept of me getting my wings, because he was there for graduation day, and matter of fact, he pinned on my wing, so that was beyond his vision of ever that happening, because I don't think he ever really believed that I could do it. I didn't know I could do it, but when you put your mind to it and you want something, you have to work, and failure's not an option. You do what it takes, and I think that's what I don't think my father really grasped that about me until that point in time when he pinned my wings on.
Yeah, proud moment, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And so. How long did you fly a tanker out of Texas?
I flew tankers for down in Texas. Very short time. It was only about a year and a half. Because at that point in time, we're at 1992 at this point. Because I graduated UPT class 9106, for those who are interested. And so by 92, we've got BRAC, which it's just base closings, cutbacks. It's the beginning of the Clinton years, and President Clinton has made the decision to, downsize our military. Mm-hmm. So he started with a bunch of, Carswell was on the hit list. And so it within 2 years of that time, it was closed. And today, it still survives, but it's not an active duty base. It's a joint guard base now, used by the Navy and Air Force, and some Marine flying there as well.
So were you there when the base closed, or changed missions? And then do you leave and go elsewhere?
Pretty much turned the key on that squadron when we walked out of there, and there was a big shuffle to where are we going to send these guys? What do we do with them? This is important, I'm under a 6-year commitment at this point in time after pilot training to fulfill, because just of the resources and money and time they put in you. So you're basically under conscript for 6 years. You can't get out. At that point, they're sending us they were pretty good about asking us where we want to go. You got within reason, they had only 3 or 4 bases of tankers. And so I ended up choosing Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho. Now, this is another story, quick summary here. I did not know at that time that this base was being stood up to be a composite wing. Now, what's a composite wing? How is this different than other active duty bases, tanker bases that are standalone? Well, composite wing has all the aircraft at one location. So we're training with the same, F-15 guy training with a tanker guy, training with a B-1. We had B-1s at this base. Everything in the deployment package. So it's basically train like you fight and fight like you train. So that was the concept. General McPeak was the general at this point in time that gave the order that he wanted to stand up a composite wing. Now, great concept from my point of view. Great concept. Easy, just so much quicker and more efficient when you got to go on a mission such as we just saw with Venezuela when we basically loosened up the environment there for the snatch and grab of the president there of Venezuela. Well, that's a package that comes from the composite wing structure where you have everybody. It takes more than just one aircraft to do that.
So what did you do at Idaho?
So in Idaho, I'm flying the tanker, and I ended up getting about 1,000 hours of flight time in the KC-135. We're upgrading from the A model, which is old school. That's from the Cold War era, where we actually used water on takeoff to convert to steam to get extra thrust because we're carrying so much excess fuel in the tanker. Well, the transition happened there around 1993, 94. We went to R models. R models is matter of fact, it holds a lot of the records for the 135 does for the best efficiency for rate of climb records for that weight class for aircraft. So matter of fact, we didn't even go to full power when we took off there at Mountain Home. We would throttle back to 93%. We didn't overstress the airframe. That's how much power this stuff has. So being a composite wing and a tanker guy, this opened up 2 other avenues of extra flying during those 4 years. I was at 4 years from 92 to 96 at Mountain Home at the composite wing, the 366th wing. The wing commander said, since we're a composite wing and we want to really understand each other's missions, fighters to tankers, tankers to fighters, bombers, I was blessed and I had the opportunity to go fly F-16, the D model with the 389th. Bam Bam, if you're watching, thank you. Flew at Bam Bam quite a bit. Great F-16 pilot from that time, 389th. And Bam Bam and we would fly quite often. And I got to help, shoot Mavericks and, land. And, I was, not primary pilot in command, but I got to fly the F-16 D model I got I think it was ended up over 100 hours in that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, another program, same time, I'm also have the opportunity to fly the T-38 again, the same aircraft that we flew in pilot training, which is my favorite aircraft, by the way, and it's called ACE, Advanced Co-Pilot Enrichment, because I'm a co-pilot in the 135 because I'm still young, and they want us to get more experience with flying quicker. So basically, your off time when you're not flying the 135 or the F-16. You get the fuel card for the weekend and you plan your own missions, and basically it's just to acquire hours, and you go and fly around the country to basically wherever you deem that you. So I visited my parents. So I flew back to Fort Worth at Carswell, spent some time there, just getting experience. Instrument, because you fly in all weather conditions. So we do instrument flying. Approaches is a very needed proficiency item, as the pilots know that are watching, that you need to stay with stay ahead of the aircraft.
Why was that your favorite aircraft?
I like it because it's the old school cables, and basically the old cable and pulley I was kid around.
Just had an old school feel to it.
You could feel the resistance on the airfoils, on the rudders, the elevators. You could feel, the airflow, which helps me become one with the aircraft. Where F-16, fly-by-wire, digital, you got to be very, it's more of a finesse kind of flying, which is okay. Easier in that regard, not as physiological on the body. G's, yes, but not for, actual movement with the body. But
knowing where your career ends up, it's a little surprising that you really enjoyed the old school tech and the feel of the aircraft, knowing where your career ends up, which we'll get there. So 1992, 1996. How old are you in 1996?
I'm at 31 years old at this point,
okay.
Prime of my flying.
And what was your rank in 96?
I'm a captain.
Okay.
03.
Are you thinking in 96 about your career, and do you have plans and goals for yourself in the military career, or are you just taking it as it comes in 96?
It's kind of the latter, taking it as it comes, because there's a certain path that you're on that you just know by, the mentors or the seniors senior pilots that are in your squadron. Shout out to the 22nd there, fueling squadron, but a lot of good guys there that helped me along in my train of thought. But as we're going to find out, that path can get derailed in a quick hurry. When meeting your flight gates or your upgrade to left seat or upgrade to instructor. These are the things that the main personnel center, MPC, down in Randolph Air Force Base in San Antonio is looking for when it comes to promotion boards. If you're not meeting those, you're probably not going to get promoted, because everybody else is. It's just the standards that are set forth by the promotion board. So it's always better to be in a community. That's the important takeaway. If you're in a community, do. However, I got, it's called non-volunteered. I didn't volunteer. I was just selected. Needs of the Air Force to go fly a whole new program.
In 1996.
1996.
You're leaving Idaho.
I'm leaving Idaho, and I'm heading to Nellis Air Force Base at this point as a holding tank, because we're not even sure. That's the first time I really had open orders where I don't know where I'm going. It's just go to Vegas and wait for further words on your orders. And I do know what they're grooming me to fly. It's the new RQ-1 Predator, unmanned back then. It's called an unmanned aerial aviation vehicle, UAV. That turned out to be quite a change for me, coming out of the cockpit into an unmanned aircraft. So
it wasn't something you sought after. It wasn't something you applied for, expressed interest in, just something that you were given and told to do.
Right. And for the record, becoming the first one to show up. Now there was two other guys just within the first month that showed up with me. One has passed away. It was Major John Box, a great patriot that helped drone warfare where it is today. Matter of fact, shout out to him. Our aircraft that we flew has his name on it, and it's hanging in the rafters, Smithsonian Institute at the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C.
Do you have any thoughts, Jase, about why the Air Force selected you in 1996 for this drone program?
Other than I was at a crossroads on, is this guy ready to upgrade? I was kind of, I think the timing was more, and then my timing along with Air Force timing just met at the same time, because it was either the Air Force, do we send him to upgrade, or are we going to send him to, one more thing, I'm at my 4 years. And sometimes at your 3 years, your window opens. It's time to move. They move officers because they want us to be very broad in our careers, to grooming us for all of us to be generals one day. That's a whole nother debate on that. Some guys just want to be career aviators and they don't want to move. They just leave me. We had that argument in squadron so many years with seniors and the young guys. And
well, you enjoyed flying and you enjoyed the feel of the aircraft and being up there in the skies. Yeah. So what did you think about being, you said in Vegas?
Right. So they got me in Vegas for, because the determination, Congress.
Where were you in Vegas?
I was in East Side, Nellis Air Force Base. Yeah, there's a big fighter base, because they had made a determination that these aircraft are going to be Air Combat Command, ACC Command assets. So
were you a little angry at that point, not really knowing if you'll be back in the cockpit?
I'm not bitter or angry, and that's more like a personality issue on how because there was some guys that got selected to the Predator program that weren't happy, and they'd show up to work not happy. I'm more intrigued. I have a job to do. Again, I'm still under commitment. I'm still, what am I, 4 years into my 6-year commitment. I don't have anything. I have no leverage to complain. I'm getting paid.
Still a captain?
Still a captain. I'm enjoying being in the military. So there's a greater good I'm looking at here. I'm a careerist, so I'm not looking to go airlines or anything like that.
So when did you find out this is going to be your mission?
Okay, so pretty much when I show up to Vegas with the orders that but we're waiting to see where these things are going to be based. Congress is involved big time because it's actually the Joint Program Office at the Pentagon, JPO, is owning the aircraft. They know it's going to go to Air Combat Command if the Air Force is selected as the lead service. That determination hasn't been made, so we're sitting around conference tables at Nellis with dignitaries, and we're pilots. They want to know what our thoughts are. After, of course, now we've already been trained. We were sent to training to the RQ-1. The Army actually was the temporary lead service for training, and I went to Fort Huachuca in Sierra Vista, trained by the Army on this aircraft.
You're talking about the Predator now.
You're talking about the Predator.
Yeah.
Even though I'm at Vegas, I'm at training temporarily in Sierra Vista because they think the Air Force is going to be the lead, is the way they're leaning. But they're thinking near Roswell, New Mexico, at Albuquerque. Albuquerque was on the list, but so is Nellis, but not Nellis proper. There's another auxiliary field about 52 miles north of Vegas, called Indian Springs, which is now, obviously that base was selected as the primary UAV base for Predator. And we just had our 25-year reunion, just throw that in there, about 2 or 3 years ago. And now they're Reapers, MQ-9, and we'll get into that once we get deeper into drones.
But 96, Jase, you're at an Army base
for training only
in Huachuca, and
sir.
How did you feel as a career Air Force guy going to an Army base?
That I'm screwed.
Yeah.
My career, I didn't think I'd make it past captain at that point. I'm getting so removed from not just the community of tankers, but now I'm not even an Air Force guy except for my patches.
You're off in Huachuca, with this unmanned aircraft.
Getting trained by a warrant officer.
Wow.
A chief warrant officer who was excellent, by the way. They knew their stuff.
Yeah.
It's and so by the time we graduated, the determination was made that the Air Force is going to be the lead service, and that's where we are today.
But it was a rocky start. People didn't know which direction it was going to go in. But you're kind of just going with the flow, and all right, they want me to go to this Army base in Huachuca and do this sort of training, and then they bring you back to Vegas.
Bring me back to Vegas. That's my home base, and we don't even have a building. The only thing.
How many guys are with you at the beginning of this drone?
Three. And then
You
fourth
and
one.
2 other people.
And then a fourth one was added. I mentioned Major John Box, and also want to mention Lieutenant Colonel Ray Miller.
Did you all kind of talk about, hey, we're at transition, we're at a new phase of the Air Force, this is new technology? Did the 3 or 4 of you talk about how this is going to revolutionize warfare?
We were just breaching those conversations, especially when Ray Miller mentioned to me, he goes, did you realize, oh, by the way, I'm getting my call sign at this point, Rain Man. He goes, did you realize, Rain Man, that there are hard points on the RQ-1? I get goosebumps today. I go, that was when my eyes were open. I go, this is not going to be long. There's a lot of folks up here, which we're going to get into, that have vision, okay? And General Jumper is one of them. He was the father of the vision for Air Combat Commander, Air Combat Command Director, Chief of Staff there, Chief of Air Combat Command. And it was his vision that we go ahead and work on weaponizing our Q1. Mm-hmm. So that's all that discussion was taking place right at the beginning, which it got, and of course, as time went on, with respect to time, there was more discussions that would take place. Mm-hmm. And then we'd find out my next assignment, how those discussions and visions of General Jumper actually came true.
Yeah. So 96, how long are you in Vegas? Because you got 2 more years. Are you there from 96 to 98?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
And then your 6-year commitment is up in 98. And
decisions have to be made.
Yeah,
am I getting out, going airlines?
Yeah.
I decided to push on. I'm at this point 98. I'm at the 8-year point, close enough. I'm like, I'm enthralled with the becoming, first drone pilot, and I'm like, I see a future with these. I had my eyes were open. I had an open enough mind. It takes a mindset to see. Don't fight it. This is going to happen. Mm-hmm. You can help it, or you become a hindrance.
Yeah, I imagine some folks in the Air Force were fighting.
They're fighting.
I imagine.
Oh man, all up and all through till I retired.
Yeah, because we're going to get rid of pilots. We're going to get rid of a way of life, a way of air power, and replace it with something new. Doesn't actually go that way. We're not replacing pilots, but we don't know 96 to 98 what's going to happen.
We don't know how. And the game changer, 9/11. Okay, because you had a lot of guys getting out at that prior to 9/11, going to airlines. All my buddies, 9/11 hit. What happens to the airline industry? They're furloughing all my buddies, all of them, because they were last to get hired. So they're. But 9/11, we're going to war. Yeah. So we've got, I think it's George Bush at that time, opens up the program to go ahead and allow these pilots back into the Air Force.
So in 1998, what do you do?
So in 98, I'm heading to Air Combat Command. I was, again, being the first guy, they need somebody with some experience on this aircraft to work the requirements, future requirements, the budgeting.
Is this still the Predator?
Yes, still the Predator. We haven't switched to MQ-9s until about probably 2008.
Okay. So we're working on the Predator, still figuring out the kinks.
Still figuring out kinks. Oh, I want to throw out there too, a lot of kinks. Because from day one, we did not have a -1. And the pilots know what a -1 is out there. -1 is the manual for the aircraft. We didn't even have a manual. This rolled out. This was a special joint program office to increase the acquisition cycle. Normally it takes 8 to 10 years, sometimes even longer, to get an idea to fruition where it actually becomes a flyable mission in the current Air Force. Not Predator Q1. It was called an ACTD, Advanced Technology Demonstration Program. And,
essentially a prototype.
Advanced Concept Technology Demonstration. It's a prototype.
Yeah.
General Atomics out in San Diego rolled these things off and deliver them to Indian Springs in Vegas, and we would fly them without a manual. John Box, again, passed away, but he was instrumental, pioneer in every sense of the word. Took all anything that would happen that was unusual in flight, we would write down. We're basically unqualified test pilots. We would write down the anomalies. These became later the cautions and warnings that you see in today's MQ-9 -1. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So pioneers from the beginning, and God bless them.
Probably with every phase of this too. It's probably not just the aircraft, but the instruments you're using to control the aircraft.
Correct. Correct.
The procedures that you use from getting into the box, the area where the instruments are, to leaving that. Yeah. Probably all along the lines, you're probably writing the rules and regulations and procedures for all of it.
Yes, sir. From the walk around on getting the plane ready for takeoff to the takeoff procedures checklist. Yep. Everything that goes with flying aircraft, and the concept the operation is it's a Connex box. Basically, you see on the back of tractor trailers, Connex. reconfigured the inside of that. Basically, the first half of the front is pilot controls, and we'll add some documents. I got some photos that you can look at and that will give you that. And then the second half of the Connex box is all the servers, computers, video. It's a very reconnaissance specific aircraft. I mean, we're airborne for 24 hours, and so it takes 2 crews. So
you and still 3 or 4 other people, or has the program expanded by 98?
By 98, we've expanded probably not a whole lot, but it sounds like a lot, by maybe 4-fold. Now we got 12 pilots to maybe 15. And when I was getting ready to leave the 11th Reconnaissance Squadron there was a new squadron being stood up called the 15th Reconnaissance Squadron, which later became, after 9/11, dedicated to other agencies. So it wasn't even conventional at that point. Other agencies, we'll leave it at that, acquired a portion of these aircraft because they're so good. Again, that's going to be a separate breakout session of drone warfare and how it applies, the history of it. There's so much to talk about there.
So many different applications of it, sure. But in 1998, are you given a promotion?
Shortly after that, after I got onto the staff, I'm working at Air Combat Command staff as the Predator guy. First on staff, again, I did a lot of firsts through my whole career. This is another one. First on the Air Well, you can imagine, okay, because you don't normally get to staff until you're at least field grade officer and above. We're talking major, lieutenant colonel. I'm just a captain. I'm a senior captain. I know some stuff, but I'm nowhere near the wisdom and experience of Air Combat Command with all these fighter pilots roaming the corridors and hallways where I worked.
Yeah, you're the Predator guy.
And I'm the Predator guy.
That's threatening all of them. Yeah,
There was so many times that I've got they wouldn't do it in front of others, but I got singled out when it was individuals, like in a stairwell, or I got fingers pointed in my chest. I got called bad names. And here I used to, I was a manned aircraft pilot, flew F-16s and tankers and T-38s, and I didn't deserve that.
And you loved it. That was your passion, too.
That was my passion. The Air Force needs. But after flying this and in combat, during that time, too, we're going to save that for another day, was we actually deployed these things to Bosnia in 98, 97, where I was part of that, 96, 98, all through that. And very instrumental. Matter of fact, we'll look at how the Predator actually was very instrumental on bringing justice to Slobodan Milosevic, who was doing bad things, genocide, and we actually have proof of that, and which later became the reason for the Dayton Peace Accords and in the end of that war. So Predator, very instrumental. Maybe a book to follow one day, who knows? But going back to how I was treated, redheaded stepchild is my best way to put it. Yep. They knew I had wings, but they still have a beer with me at the officers club. Okay, but they, at the same time, they had to vent that they say, not in my lifetime. You're not going to weaponize these, Rain Man. Not in my lifetime. It was a cultural. They were being offended by maybe jobs being taken away, or the scarf, the old days of scarf, and the arrogance with flying, which you have to be somewhat arrogant to be a pilot, because you have to you got to be confident in what you do. I get it. I get it.
And there, if you all watch another video that we did with General Holmes, he talked about the generational issues in the Air Force, like between bombers and fighters, and then the fighters and the unmanned. That there are these generational things all the time in the history of Air Force. This is not anything new, but take us forward then. 1998. What's your mission? You're still with the Predator and at Air Command, and doing what?
Yeah, so I'm brand new, showing up Air Combat Command in '99 timeframe, And it's not long, maybe February of 2000, so maybe 6 months after showing up, General Jumper calls me into his office. Rain Man, have a seat, and going to ask you some questions about Predator. I said, sure, sir. I'm just grateful to be on staff. Thanks for bringing me up. It was a by name request. So I'm very happy to be helping the Predator program, even with all the differences of the fighter guys that are there. Mm-hmm. But General Jumper asked me, 4-star general, and I'll never forget to this day, about the flaps on Predator. And I go, sir, what do we want to know about the flaps? But he said, do you use them when you land, or do you ever use them in flight? I go, only one time, sir, during training. We, it was a kind of like just a orientation to what the flaps do and that they're there. And it's more of a aileron. It's not really flaps. If you know the Predator, the controls are on the bottom of the aircraft. So I was explaining that. He goes, yeah, okay. He goes, I guess I'm asking it the wrong way. So yeah, re-asked the question. He goes, I'm looking at, can you put that nose down? How far, and if so, how far can you put that nose down when you need it to? And I go, sort of like a descent. We just kind of chop the throttle, push the nose over. It's like a glider. He goes, without exceeding our placard speeds and the airframe, I think we could probably get 20 degrees, but we have to go. We never really tested that. Again, we just finished the -1, And he goes, well, let's go look at that with the test portion of that. I want you to go and look at that, see because he goes, what I'm looking at is, I'm looking at something that can look down. I need to get into that box. I want to bring in laser designators. I want to put a missile on this thing. I want to be able to designate something to have the Predator without putting a guy in harm's way, taking out and eliminating that target. Remember, we have talked about this, and I said, so now I'm eyes wide open. Sir, I know your intent now, and I have more. There's already hard points on the aircraft. He goes, there's what? I go, yeah, General Atomics, Admiral Cassidy had vision. That's who started General Atomics. He's a retired pilot himself. He knew where this was going years ago. He goes, I did not know. So there's the genesis of weaponizing our Air Force drones that we have today in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. Was that visit in his office. Mm-hmm. So I basically worked on that program there, Air Combat Command, for the entire time, the 3 years I was there.
Mm-hmm. From 1998 to 2001?
That's about 99. 99 I showed up.
Okay, to 2002?
2002.
Yeah. Okay.
2002.
So then it's 9/11 then that sends you on your next mission? It's 2002.
Uh-huh. Oh, the next orders to the next base?
Yeah.
So mission accomplished at Air Combat Command. We've got the Predator weaponized. The rest is history. He ended up choosing to, again, we want to cover more of that, of how that test went. There was setbacks and challenges that very interesting on how to get that aircraft weaponized. So we'll cover that another time. That's really in depth. But now 9/11, it's not long. Predator's one of the first aircraft to show up in OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom, to fight the Taliban. Mm-hmm. And again, a lot of requirements. I'm still on staff in 2001 to prepare.
Promoted? Did you get promoted?
Yes, and I got promoted this time for weaponizing the drone. I'm promoted to major as an 04 at this point in time. I'm very proud. I never thought I'd see that. So the whole world has changed for me personally, environmentally. We're at war. We're a wartime. It's a wartime combat aviation. It's labeled quickly because it did so well in OEF with finding Taliban. Because we have everything in our arsenal to eliminate targets. We do. The hard part is finding them, finding the targets. So that's what Predator brought to the program, or brought to the combat field.
Did you feel that in 2002? Did you feel like you were more valued
Yes.
because of what you brought to the table. Now that we're on a war footing, that everybody could kind of see.
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is the point of it all.
Not just me, because I knew. Well, after our successful test, again, it's another time on the T-72 tank out in the desert when we were successful. We knew we had something, and now it's doing it in combat. I'm asked to go to conferences now and brief people about the mission. They don't know anything about now the MQ-1, because now it's weaponized. Went from RQ-1 status to MQ-1, and at that point in time, I knew. I'm like, God, my schedule it increased immensely. And guess also what went down? The harassment. At about that point, harassment stopped. When the Hellfire was successful in eliminating enemy, it's part of the team now. Mm-hmm. And now I'm embraced by the fighter community to a certain degree. Still some that don't want to talk to me, but for the most part, the masses ended up embracing this new technology.
Yeah. So a part of your story is technological innovation and resistance,
human resistance to change,
and then acceptance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the key there is the successful deployment in war.
Absolutely.
Is kind of key to the cultural acceptance in the Air Force, where people realize, oh, this is not only common, it's the future.
You get it.
Of warfare.
You get it. Exactly.
Yeah. So, you're a major, 2002. Take us forward to through that block in your military service.
The block at Air Combat Command, or the next base.
Yeah.
The next base continue to. Now we're at an education standpoint. Air Force determines the best spot for me to go is Air Command and Staff College, ACSC. It's a master's level program as an instructor. 1 year program. Of course, I've already graduated from the program. That's part of the prerequisite to getting in as an instructor there. But I'm 2002, show up at Maxwell Air Force Base. You're now AETC, Air Training Command, Air Education and Training Command, as an instructor for another 4 years. Or 3 years. So I left in 2005. And so right away, the commandant or the dean of cadets asked me to create some additional coursework. This is where
they did. You're adding to the curriculum.
I'm adding to the curriculum of air power.
Another dimension.
We teach air power.
Yeah.
So drones have to now be a part of that, because it's 2002, 2003 when I'm writing this curriculum.
It's a cutting edge.
Cutting edge technology, and the commandant loved everything that. Too bad he moved away. He moved on to another job, because I think my promotion chances would have been greatly increased if he would have stayed. Yeah. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, it all went well there. Love teaching there, because we teach NATO. We teach. It's a joint force program. We have an Army. Mm-hmm. It's field grade officers. You have to be major and above to be at this school. So I felt I was with the best of the best there, as far as teaching air power from a joint warfare perspective. And Predator MQ-1, again, infusing that into the program. About that time, it's already classified as what's called LDHD. Low density, high demand aircraft, meaning there's not a lot of them and everybody wants them in war. Everybody requests that air power because of the long loiter, 24-hour loiter with the eyes that it has, with zoom camera capability and kinetic elimination. This is what the warfighter needs down on the ground, close air support. So yeah, very
to have endless possibilities.
It's becoming sexy. It's becoming sexy after 9/11 for sure.
So 2005, what happens then when your period of teaching ends?
Okay, at that point in time, more demand. Now, I'm evolving. Again, I don't have. What happened to my tanker community path? That's like 8 years ago now. It seems like
far in your rear view.
It's far. I'm the drone. I'm the poster child for drones.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, I'm like, well, there's no more rank. I submitted to that. It's gonna be very rare that I get jumper or something in that situation again. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm evolving as far as the career goes, but not my rank. So Special Operations Command now has been determined. They're going to be the lead component command of the Air Force for drone warfare because of all the secrecy. You realize real quick, even in Bosnia, that I'm not talking to people that I'm normally talking to. These are outside agency people, and so Special Ops highly involved with that kind of joint warfare, and so drones are a big part of AFSOC today, Air Force Special Operations Command. So from 06 to 2010, 08 to 2010 is where where that ended up.
Yep.
Because I'm missing from 06, I actually went to Shaw Air Force Base, where now we've got Iraqi freedom. Okay, and we've got to insert our drones and MQ-1s out of the classroom, sent me to war.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Yeah, exactly.
Pretty jarring transition from teaching people about drone warfare to applying drone warfare.
Yeah, so in 2005, I'm showing up at a combat operations squadron at Shaw Air Force Base, the 609.
I wonder about that, Jase. Can you speak to that a little bit? That you're in a classroom environment and you're teaching people about drone warfare. Do you feel like that those years of teaching made you better equipped for going to war?
Absolutely, especially as a field grade officer now. And leadership recognized that. I had full board colonels and General Buchanan, who was the CENTAF commander. He was the CFAC, Coalition Force Air Combat, Air Component Commander, CFAC. He is the dude for the war for air. So he, again, regular talks with the CFAC I would have, because I'm in 9th Air Force. I'm at Shaw. It's where I'm co-located. He's just upstairs, in the real fancy office. I'm downstairs with all the worker bees. But anyway, they call them Iron Majors. And I'm down there with them figuring out what is the best way to employ joint warfare in Iraqi freedom, because we're having some issues. At this point in time, too, other countries want to get involved. So they throw money and budget at the MQ-1.
Do you think other countries are getting involved because the United States is the world leader in drone warfare?
Absolutely. We're leading the way, as most of the time we usually do. In this case, I think they're looking at a way to get into the war as well without, sacrificing too many casualties from there, because they know public pushback would be. So the Predator mission fit perfect, like in the case that happened in Rio with the Italian Special Operation Forces. So I ended up, that was my first assignment. I got embedded with the Italian Special Operation Forces.
This is 2006 to 2008-ish?
2005. Yeah, early, January of 2005. I'm embedded with the Italian Special Operation Force at Tallil Air Base.
You stopped the teaching, 2005, you're embedded. Gotcha.
Happened quick. Happened quick. It's like, get your bags packed. And I go, I'm a war fighter. I'm embracing this mission. It's why I trained and flew all those years. And now I'm going to combat. And I had the briefing where make sure you have all your affairs in order, because you might not come home. Because I'm going outside the wire. And that's what happened. And especially with Italian Special Operation Forces, we lost 5 guys during that time frame that I was with them. And in any given, but I tell you, they did a great job. My title is basically lead advisor for their program, but from that's on my OPRs, and I'm the chief of ISR for Iraqi freedom.
Do you feel safer as a drone pilot? Do you feel more removed from the combat? Or did you feel, no, my life is on the line like everybody else's and I'm in this fight?
That's a depends question. It depends what side or what perspective because there's the way the Predator MQ-1 is flown. Half the pilots are in Indian Springs, now Creech Air Force Base. It's a handoff that takes place as these aircraft take off out of Iraq and are out of, because you can only take off line of sight. You have to have pilots there but after that, it gets handed off to a mission pilot, and it's flown by satellite. They're not even in theater. Mm-hmm. So those pilots, are more removed. But a lot of psychologically, psychological experts have looked into this. Yeah. And there's guys that get PTSD even flying with the Predator because of things they see. Yeah. They know it's real. It's not really the maneuvering while you're sitting there. It's what you see, what you experience. The human brain can only, and I experienced a lot of that, seeing mass casualties of genocide. Bulldozers in Bosnia just pushing bodies into, mass grave sites. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was horrible. Mm-hmm. And now again, that changed. They didn't know they were being recorded, so that changed everything. But so yeah, there's a transition of bit depending on what. But if you're in theater, you're armed. You're armed. Yeah. When you go in that Connex, you've got you've got weapons.
You didn't feel like you're separate from, you're disengaged, you're safe, however you want to frame it as a drone pilot.
Well, again, at the beginning of the war, those guys told me they weren't included. It's called the ATO, Air Tasking Order, and that's all part of there's a whole process of how you get targets to attack or prosecute in this case, if it's just video that you need, or supply intel. Big intel collector the Predator is at that point in time for the war, finding guys. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, depends on the mission that you're involved with on that. Yeah.
So embedded with this unit in 2005, you said. Mm-hmm. But then 2006 to 2008, I'm trying to remember, Jase, you were saying you had gone forward and then you went back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Right. 2006 to 2008.
I did. I went to
2006 to 2008.
I went to 8. What? 2006 to 8. I'm Iraq.
Okay.
Most of that whole time.
Okay.
Being the chief of ISR for the war.
Okay.
For the air piece.
Are you in country? Are you in Iraq?
Back and forth. I'm in garrison. Yeah. About every 5 months.
Yeah.
I was on a 5-month rotation with some other guys.
Promotion?
Nope.
2006, 2008?
Nope.
Okay, still major?
Oh, there was a promotion board, but I did not make lieutenant colonel. Don't have an answer for that. I called and they considered I got the answer. There was a break in service between flying the manned aircraft and the Predator. But I'm like, yeah, because there's no community. Of course, that's going to show a break in service. So I to this day, I mean, I'm not bitter. I'm just saying, but it was an unfair look at my unique situation. And the things I was doing compared when I looked at other people that were getting promoted lieutenant colonel. Yeah, huge difference on what I'm doing for the future of the Air Force, no doubt. Yeah. And but I just made a call, and I'm a humble man. I'm just pointing out that there was a big difference, but I'm country first. Yeah, I'm country first. So
then take us to 2008.
Okay, 2008. One last thing about the Iraq. Again, things had changed kind of when because again, now I'm well skilled in in modern joint warfare, and I know how to integrate. I know the processes because I taught them.
It's been 6 years, yeah.
I taught the process in the school, in academic.
Yep.
So now I'm applying all that in
Yep.
theater. No one had done that for the drones till I showed up.
Yep.
Now things have become more efficient. Now we're integrated with manned aircraft. Now we have manned, unmanned packages like we see today. But it took someone to be at that right time and place with the right skill set, the right training, education to go do
what
that.
Needed to be done.
So
was able to integrate
Right
it with existing processes.
Right on.
Yeah.
So 2008, now it's time to move again because now there's needs. Because a lot of what I was doing in the war was conventional. Now we're getting in the middle. This is a whole new ball game. Special Ops Command's now getting. They want control over the drones, and so that's where we're at now. And I still think that continues on today. Guard units. It's both. It's conventional and special ops. There's some in Global Attack Command now. Special ops are everywhere, but guard units are standing up at this point in time. Of standing up MQ-1.
And what are you doing
bases.
in 2008? Are you kind of going around to the different armed forces and talking to them about drone warfare? What are you doing in 2008?
I'm at AFSOC headquarters at Herbert Field, and this is my last assignment because I'm coming up to 20 years at this point. And from 2008, I retired in 2010. What I got to do during that time was help transition MQ-1s into AFSOC and then their air bases and the training and all the requirements go along with it. But also, I'm also chief of a branch that they put me in as a major at the headquarters level. I'm in charge of my own branch. Small UAVs. We're talking, 10 pounds and less, because the drones I was flying in the wars, the ones I was talking about, are Cessna 172 size is the Predator. Now we're talking smalls.
Yeah, because in today's day and age, when we say drones, everybody thinks small.
And here's where I got a real good glimpse of the future, because we're talking secret of the sea. I had my highest clearance at that point. The things that from DARPA, a lot of other agencies working, of course, can't go into details on but it just amazes me how smart scientists can be when it comes to employing, capability that's needed for warfare.
All the different applications.
The applications, and we just scratched the surface. And that was, again, what is that, 16 years ago? I'm sure that was still so much more work to go, because I see where we're at with small UAVs. We're talking things that are really tiny. They can, on unclassified, they could probably go through these vents and stuff and listen to conversations and on it. But this is the future of warfare. Digital battlefield is going to be wide open to all kind of small UAVs and digital and little gadgets, robots.
And you were a part of it. 2010, 20 years. Are you thinking, I've had a good career, it's time to hang it up? What are you thinking in 2010?
At 2010, I'm thinking, yes, it's time to get tired of I have family at that point, and I'm wanting to spend more time with them, and then the moves. I'm getting tired of moving around. Plus, I'm really liking the Panhandle of Florida. I'm like, I could just hang it up here. And it doesn't mean walking away from it entirely, which I didn't. It was only a short period of time where I was like, where's the best fit? But in the meantime, I still need to, bills still need to be paid. So I was I sold boats down there in Florida for about a year before things didn't work out. I think it's the only job I ever got fired from.
You go from the drone warfare component to selling boats in Florida.
And I'm horrible at it.
And you made the decision to do that.
I couldn't sell umbrellas to an Eskimo. I can't.
The military didn't make the decision for you. You decided in 2010, this is it, I'm hanging it up.
Yes, sir. So, and at that point,
did they try to get you to stay? I mean, you had all this experience with drone warfare.
I think there's a program that you have to go to a continuation board. Yeah. I'm not familiar with all, that's more personnel stuff. Yeah. They didn't try, and I didn't try.
Yeah.
I just like, oh, I'm at 20. Let's go do something else. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm 20 years. I've gave blood, sweat, and tears to everything that I did. I put everything into every program I was with, and never bitter, never. And again, I can see why some of the guys were bitter, but that's just not how I'm made. So I didn't do the boats very well. Only job I got fired from, and then at that point, I'm at the edge of, not desperation, but I want something that's real particular, close to something that I know, because I know this boat thing. I thought I could do it, and so the closest thing I could find, I knew a lot about working in tactical operations centers and air operations centers, because the Predator feed is very instrumental in coming into those centers for the higher command leadership to make proper decisions with real-time video coming in from the field. So I knew a lot about that. Well, at that point, I saw an ad in monster.com, something about needing AOC retired officer with AOC experience, and I applied for it and was selected. But here's the catch. Again, that 1 year being with family only lasted 1 year, because at that point I'm having to go to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Woo.
Saudi wants to stand up AOCs because they're worried about the Iranian threat, i.e. today. It's kind of where we're at.
So you were in Saudi Arabia
for a whole year, yeah. Wow. So helped standing up their AOC Air Operations Center program. So finished that.
What did you think about Saudi Arabia?
Culture. That was being in Iraq. I was always around military and never felt unsafe. Sort of, kind of. I came under fire 2 times, but other than that, I mean, that's just part of warfare. But I didn't feel like was not coming home. I never felt. Saudi Arabia, you can't see these people. They're all covered up. Where's my military guys? I'm a fish out of water. It's like a small contingent of us, unarmed civilians. We're contractors. Yeah. There's 4 of us, and we're having to go to the grocery, and I'm getting the weirdest stares I've ever got in my life. For eyes looking through, especially the women with their dress. I'm like, it was uncomfortable because I'm not used to that culture. Saudis turned out to be, obviously great allies. It's just I had to get used. This is a personal thing I had to get used to. Education. We were in a compound. That part was secured, but at that point, that's where my experience of being in the military brought me, is to be a government contractor.
And when did you move to Tennessee?
So moved to Tennessee. In 2019, when I was at Riyadh, it was 2012 for a year. Came back in 2013, still in Florida, and I decided to work on my PhD, finish that, and then the contractors called me back because my PhD had me work on a whole nother program. They seen the AFSOC, Special Ops experience. I ended up being a NATO instructor, curriculum writer, for all the lessons learned in Iraq for NATO allies and their students that they would send to the Air Force Operations School that we stood up in Belgium. So I worked there for 4 or 5 years, from 2013 to 2018. Hung that up, moved here in 2019. Did you enjoy
the NATO work?
I absolutely loved that job. Absolutely. I loved all my jobs. Loved everything. Like I said, no matter what job you get, make a difference. That's my takeaway today. Make a difference no matter what you do. We're all here for a certain amount of time. It's what you do with it. And that's my attitude. Without ever sharing that. I never shared that aspect of, that's what makes Rain Man tick, and I'm very fortunate and blessed. Opportunity. Thank you for today.
Great to have you here, Jase.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
Hope you all enjoyed the talk with Jase, and we'll have subsequent follow-up videos on the different parts of his story. Thank you all.
Thank you.